as I've said during the different segments, the key to defense is playing great fundamentals and playing fast and being able to tackle. I think the key to our system and our long-term success of almost 30 years in some form of this defense is our ability to play fundamentals and our ability to get kids to play fast. We're going to move on to the secondary today, and we're going to talk about some of the things we do with our defensive backs and free safeties. We're going to talk about stance, footwork, redirection, ball drills, and coverage drills. I think it's really important you teach with great enthusiasm. If you want to be a quality coach, okay, and, I'm 55 now, man, all right, and I still love to go out and practice and have fun and coach fundamentals and see little growth in your kids. If you don't enjoy that, then you're not doing your job, okay? You want to be able to enjoy watching your kids start to learn success and teach it with great enthusiasm, leverage, efficient movement, competing for the ball, pursuit, tackling. And nothing beats live competition, and we'll show you what we do in that. Let's start to talk about some footwork drills, basic footwork drills. One of the things we do is called the rocker drill. We've been doing this since 1987. We start on the sideline and we space our defensive backs 5 yards apart on the hash. Okay. Our coach faces the players, they're 5 yards apart. And all we do with our kids in the rocker drill is we come from our stance and we tell them to rock back and forth and back and forth. And when they do that, they start to settle in. They start to settle in on where they feel comfortable on the balls of their feet. We're just trying to get them comfortable. Okay. And when we talk about that stance, what we're looking for, we got a really pretty good picture here with Caleb. We have a narrow base with our feet under our armpits with a slight inside stagger. The weight is on the ball of our feet, our hips are high, and our backs are flat. Our eyes are on the pitcher. We're looking for number 2 to the end man on the line of scrimmage, to the backfield, and our elbows are relaxed. Hands up, relax, think like a free throw shooter. And I think when I look at Caleb here, he looks like kind of a free throw shooter, and that's a pretty good stance, okay? And what we do to teach that is we teach the jump, rocker, and free throw technique. All right, our kids like this. We don't do a ton of it, but it teaches balance. We use the 5-yard spacing setup. We instruct our athletes to jump into the air. Where their feet land is their natural base, and that's where you want your kids. Then we tell them straighten your toes, rock back and forth. Back all the way to your heels and up to your toes and settle on the balls of your feet. Take your free throw shot and then settle right back down. And that's how we teach stance. And then we want to work on start and stop. And I think when you talk about start and stop and redirection, that's where the money's made. And the goal of the drill is to teach our kids to run backwards under control so they can redirect with great efficiency. We want to use the 5-yard spacing again. And we teach our kids when the ball moves, the athletes start to run backwards as fast as they can under control. What we're looking for is the weight over the toes, and we want our kids to play in the box. That means their framework, where the elbows, the torsos, the head, and the legs are in that same plane. No head movement. If I could take like a champagne glass and put it on your head, it should stay balanced. On the whistle, they freeze under control, and we repeat it. Then I like to work what's called the mini W drill. The W drill helps teach our kids how to redirect. And what we want to do is we want to plant, point, and drive, all right? When you see and you have to redirect, you plant your foot, you point your toe almost so your feet heel click, and you roll over step 2 and you drive. Here's the deal, all right? Here's the deal. If you plant, point, and drive, you're in a tight angle. A lot of kids want to plant, bucket step over, and drive. That one step is the difference between great plays and little plays. You know, it's the difference between doing it right and doing it wrong. Then we take the W drill and we do the same drill as we work down the line. We work down the line. We work down the line. Instead of 2.5 yards, we do it at 5 yards. It's a kind of warm-up drills. Then I like to go over here. And this is an old drill. I like it. You know, I used to go up to Michigan State back in the 80s as a student. I used to watch Coach Saban run this. And I don't know what they called it, but I always called it bumper weave, because what they're going to do is they are going to backpedal intact, where you don't cross over. You open and you bring your foot, you gain depth, and you bring your second foot into the framework of your body as you work for weave or for width. And what you do is as you work, you're working your elbows through the side of your body, nice and relaxed. And what you're doing is you're staying square and you are working off the sidelines. And all you're doing is working square. And you work down the sideline, you bump the 5-yard marker, you work down, bump, bump, bump. When you get there, you work back. And what you're doing is you're teaching your kids how to tact to teach leverage. Another drill I like is the zone cushion drill. It teaches athletes to maintain their vertical cushion. So what they do is at 4 yards, okay, at 4 yards, they have to open and pin the receiver with inside leverage. So what we want them to do is we want to keep our relative depth until they break it with 4 yards. If they don't break it, you don't run. You don't turn and run. Okay, you want to stay in control until your cushion is broke. If your cushion doesn't break, don't turn and run. Don't turn and run. And it's a buddy drill. They work without a cadence. And this guy goes when he's ready. And this guy stays in his back pedal. When he breaks his cushion, he turns and runs. If he doesn't break his cushion, your corner free safety, who's the demo guy, he's dogging. And that's pretty important. Now, the zone cushion drill, it's the combination of the bumper weave and the zone cushion drill. So what happens is we are going to teach our corners to backpedal with leverage. Backpedal with leverage. It's the buddy drill, but this time they have to not only keep the vertical cushion, but the horizontal cushion. And if they get it broke, they have to turn and run. And all we're teaching our kids is how to relate to the receiver. Ball drills, you know, nothing beats ball drills if you coach the W drill within it. If you don't teach your kids to point correctly, all the ball drills do is basically your kids are playing catch, and that's not good. You want to teach your kids to drive back on a 45, plant, point, and drive. You want to teach them to drive on a 90, plant, point, and drive. And you want them to drive on the deep 45, plant, point, and drive. Whenever they plant, point, and drive, the hips go down, we plant, we roll over, and we accelerate. And we accelerate. Now, another drill I like is the in and out of phase drill. And what we're teaching our athletes is how to play the deep ball. And basically, we're working on the deep ball like the fade. And what's going to happen is this. If I'm in phase, I can see the number of the receiver. Okay? If I'm out of phase, I can't see the front number of the receiver. I can only see the back number. My rules are this. If I'm in phase, I can play the ball. If I am out of phase, I need to sprint for the near hip and close the gap. You are going to get a chance to close the gap because of timing of the catch. All right? When that happens, you strip with the far hand. Okay? You can strip with the far hand. If you cannot get the ball, you cannot go play the ball and go get it unless you get back into phase. So what's that mean? If I'm in phase, I play for the interception. If I'm out of phase, I play to defend the ball. And that's how we do that. The only thing I'm going to tell you is when you are working and you are in phase, I want you to lean on that guy and try to get your hand down towards his thigh board. And if they start throwing back shoulder, you can feel them start to slow down as you squeeze. And that's pretty important to match the route. Deep ball drill. We use this deep ball drill when we play 3 deep, when we're 3 deep and we're in a zone blitz, so we have to teach our kids how to play that deep ball if they get a ball up the seam. Kind of fun. We don't do a ton of it, but our kids like it. Coverage drills, I think this one's pretty important. We teach our kids how to play half read because we play it to the field a lot. Okay? If we play more cover 4, we have to do the same half field drills. Okay? We want to teach our corners to play half read, and we want them to see everything. The number 1 rule in cover 5 is don't give up the post. He's going to line at 7-1. He's going to work to 9-2. He's the deep player. He is going to read number 2 back to 1. If both are vertical, he plays on top. Right over here, he plays on top of both, and he favors 1 because 2's got the robber. All right, down here, he's getting a post cut. You want to be inside of that. Okay, if number 2 disappears, protect the post and work aggressively to 1. If number 1 disappears, play over the top of number 1. Okay, and here's your examples down here at the bottom. We have a 3-seam drill where we are literally trying to take the ball and pump it up the seams and have our players react to it. Okay, remember in 3-seam, our magic dropper should be jamming this. If it doesn't happen, it's going to look like this. Okay, we want to teach our deep 3 to handle the 4 verticals. Playing 4 verticals versus 3 deep with a zone if the zone pressure doesn't get home, it hurts us. Know the situation. Each defender has 2 immediate threats. Play on top of both, split the difference, and break on the long arm of the quarterback. Man technique. Here's what I'm going to tell you about man coverage. You got to play it. You don't have to play it all the time. But if you're going to play good passing teams and they have good wideouts, you're going to have to play some man coverage. And I'd like to hide in zone as much as I can. Okay, I'd like to play it. But the truth of the matter is, if you're in zone coverage and you don't have an unbelievable pass rusher that can beat somebody continually one-on-one, you're going to need to play some man coverage. And, we use a very similar stance as we do in the zone coverage, except we flatten our back a little bit more and we bring our hands up. We keep our elbows tight. We put our eyes on the belt buckle. Okay, we want to be relaxed. We think it's really important you know how to line up. When we play man coverage, we use 9-yard dividers. And what that means is this: if the man is outside the 9-yard divider from the out of bounds line, okay, we are playing inside leverage. If the man is inside the divider, we play outside leverage. If the quarterback has a weak arm, we bring it into 10 and 11. And generally speaking, we play it at 11, unless we play some stud. Our vertical alignment, okay, the more athletic, the more you can play, okay, the more you can play off the receiver, okay? If you're not as athletic, man, you better press, because it's like hockey. You're going to clutch and grab, all right? One of the first things you have to do is ID the receiver if he's on or off the line. One time we were playing a team, and I had a great press corner, and the team lined up all the time in ace. And then in the start of the second half, they lined up and they flipped their kids, and they put number 2 on the line. They put number 1 off, and my corner walked across the line of scrimmage to press him because he never ID'd if he was off or on the line. Okay? We want to be 1 or 2 yards off the receiver if you are in press. Our feet are hot. Okay? We want to keep trying to maintain original leverage as long as possible. We want to hold our original leverage with hot feet as long as possible. What we do is we talk about hips and hands. When we jam in man coverage, it is not like a huge punch. It is a jab, and it is hips and hands. And what we want to do is we want to punch the sternum, and we want to punch the sternum and cut off the receiver with the top part of our hip, okay? And flatten the route. If they double move us, it's 1. And as they come back, we come back and we double cut. All right, we want to flatten the route. The key is this: when you punch that opposite hand, When you punch that opposite hand, you've got to get placement on the sternum so he doesn't get the clean release. Once the receiver's route has been flattened, bring the jam down and snug the receiver, all right? Snug the receiver. The receiver's hip, if he's hip to hip with me, if the receiver's hip is hip to hip with me, don't panic. Bring the jam down, squeeze the thigh board, feel the receiver's inside shoulder, and keep the leverage, mirror the move, and compete for the ball. The ball is yours. If his hip is past mine, I'm beat, okay? And I'm out of phase. I'm working to sprint to the near hip. Do not look back. Attack the far hand and the wrist click when they go for the ball and get the ball out. You can make the play unless they execute a perfect run and pass. And that doesn't always happen. So if you win, or even if he wins at the line, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't look back. Group drills. We talked about this when I talked about the Spurs, I talked about matching up the plays by sequence. I really believe in this. Our corners and free safeties are part of this drill. And what that means is this. We like to put our kids in group drills where they see like plays. Power read, counter, dump pass. Maybe you're playing a wing T school. Maybe it's jet sweep, jet pass, and jet counter. Maybe it's buck sweep, waggle, and trap. I don't know. Whatever you see, put their sequence in order so your kids see that by series. All right? If they use multiple edges, you have to teach your kids how to fit all those multiple edges. In passing drills, we talked about this earlier, okay? Not earlier, but if it's in the spur section, we take all our coverages and we break them into half. Things that I'm looking for in 51. We're going to play 5 to the field. My corner better be a great half field defender, okay? My corner, free safety, and bear, when they oversplit us, have to check. When we're over here on the man side, my corner's got to compete in man coverage. When they go 3-by-1 to the field, my corner is still in half read, but my corner to the boundary is now in man all alone. Well, in this drill here, we're going to try to stretch our corner and try to work him, all right? And over here, we're working on that one-on-one. If they come out and we're in 50, if we're in 51 and we are running that, I think it's so important to test that boundary corner because that's where the opponents are going to test you. All right, now if we're in 52 and we've clouded up the boundary, all right, our corner here has to learn to play press. Our corner here has to learn to play press. 5's still the same, but over here we got to work our funnel technique. We have to funnel one and sink. And we have to teach our kids how to do that. How do we do that? Half field. We run the field side first, we run the boundary. Field side, boundary. Takes a little time, but it's a great drill. If we are playing 52, and they come out in 3-by-1, now our corner's manned and we are funneling. So we have to teach our field corner to play that man technique versus 3-by-1. Crazy Ivan, now my corner's in man over here, and my corner to the boundary is in half read. We don't do this very much, so it's very important that we do this. And as we go through everything, it's so important that when we get to the half-field drills, each position coach, if you're coaching the spur, if you're coaching the corners and the frees, or if you're coaching the inside linebackers, you have to understand what are the nuances when we go to Crazy Ivan. What is the nuances if they come out in 2 back sets and we're playing old school cover 5? All right, so you have to identify that as you get into the half-field coverage drill and teach your drills. We talked about Team Skelly in the spur section, and it's one of our best drills. And I'm going to jump through it quickly. But when we're in Team Skelly, I want my corners and my free safeties. Team Skelly, again, it's a zone pressure drill where we are taking 6-man zone pressures and we are going to run six-man zone pressures against offensive plays that can most hurt zone pressures. It is a blitz drill. It is a coverage drill. It is a fit drill. It is a pursuit drill. And what I want to see in Team Skelly from my corners is I want them to show press and then bail to a third. I want my free safety to show like a blitz alignment and play the middle third. All right? When they come out and they run bubble screen, I need my corner to come up and defend the boundary. And he's got to defend that boundary with his outside arm free and not let it up in the boundary and be physical with one. My spur has to drive that point. So when that kid comes underneath, he's going to fit it, and the free safety is in between. We do it on both sides, and the free safety reacts to the ball. The key is these guys here turning and running. We'll talk about that throughout this segment. It's our favorite thing. If we get four verticals, man, we're bailing and pinning. But our free safety's on an island, and he's got to dig for depth so he can play off to either if somebody loses their jam underneath. And in spacing, we're covering this guy. We're covering the thirds, and our free safety has to get back to the middle of the field. That is a tremendous drill for us. Our corners and free safety do a great job. Right now, we have a really good crew. We look forward to coaching them in the fall, having some other film for you too. We're really excited about them. Thank you very much.